Hi, I'm Effie, and the vibe we're going for with this video is a low-key vampire that's just had a really good night out. But in all seriousness, in this video, I'm going to be running through my anticipated vampire releases for 2025. I think there are 15 titles on this list, but I'm sure by the end of 2025 there will be significantly more vampire books that catch my eye. I had originally intended to incorporate these into a larger anticipated releases video, and then I went through my list and realised I had quite a lot of anticipated releases, so I've actually split it across 3 videos. So we've got this video, which is specifically for vampire books. Then we've got a video where I talk about 2025 releases that I've been lucky enough to get arcs of. It will be a mix of kind of like a triad chapter almost, and having fully read books. There are some vampire books in that video, but I didn't want to duplicate across the different videos, so unless I have requested anything that I talk about in this video and get approved between filming this video and filming my 2025 arcs video, there shouldn't be any duplications. And then the final video, although I can't remember what order they're going up in, but the third video is going to be basically everything else. So anticipated releases that aren't vampire-y and I have not read an arc of, or a little bit of an arc of. So let's just dive in, shall we? I have tried to arrange these in chronological order, so theoretically they should go from the earliest release to the latest released. However, release dates can and do change, and sometimes my information is just incorrect. Where possible, I will put a cover image on screen. However, if there's only a holding cover, that's what I'll use. And if there's no cover on screen, that's because there is no cover for it. Pretty self-explanatory, that one. So our first vampire book releases on the 7th of January, and it's called This Is Not a Vampire Story. 17-year-old Victor Callahan holds a secret as ancient as the shadows. Employed as a night porter in a quiet Irish nursing home, the teenager watches over a group of men he once knew a long time ago. Victor has orchestrated their reunion for a final farewell, a goodbye to those whose lives have shaped him through the years. But can he keep his secret from Lakeshore Manor's oldest resident, James O'Carroll, as he cares for these remnants of his past? Memories of a bygone era haunt him. Of wild adventures on the rugged Irish coast, of forbidden love hidden beneath the threat of eternal night, and a shipwreck that changes everything. This Is Not a Love Story weaves a tale of timeless bonds, the costs of immortality, and the lengths we go for love. But is love more important than life? Victor is about to find out. My initial gut reaction is it sounds like there's a potential for this to be somewhat of a queer story. I am assuming it's a vampire book, even though it literally says it's not a vampire book. I mean, my definition of vampires can be somewhat flexible at times anyway. I think this is going to be a quiet book that is likely going to get you in your feels. I also just love the idea of a perpetually teenage vampire, I'm assuming, caring for old friends who are now in a nursing home. That sounds like such a tender story, although, as I say, I think there's probably going to be quite a lot of emotional weight to this story. Releasing on the 21st of January, we have Our Own Affliction by Scott J. Moses. Our Own Affliction is the story of Alice Ann, a dejected immortal who longs for her life in the sun, navigating guilt, loss, family, meaning, murder, and all that comes with the curse of living forever. An existential, bleak, quiet until it's not, hallucination on duality, rife with fangs, empathy, blood, and grief. We don't have very much information there to go on, but overall it sounds pretty appealing. I'm also pretty sure that the publisher of this book, I think it's actually a novella, but I'm pretty sure the publisher has published some other books that I've absolutely loved in recent years, which makes me very excited about this one in particular. Releasing on the 18th of February, we have a Carmilla reimagining in Hungerstone by Kat Dunn. Lenore is the wife of steel magnate Henry, but 10 years into their marriage, the relationship has soured and no child has arrived to fill the distance growing between them. Henry's ambitions take them from London to the Peak District to the remote, imposing Nevershore estate, where he plans to host a hunting party. Lenore must work to restore the crumbling house and ready it for Henry's guests. Their future depends on it. But as the couple travel through the bleak countryside, a shocking carriage accident brings the mysterious Carmilla into Lenore's life. Carmilla, who is weak and pale during the day, but vibrant at night. Carmilla, who stirs up something deep within Lenore. And before long, girls from the local villages fall sick, consumed by a terrible hunger. As the day of the hunt draws closer, Lenore begins to unravel, questioning the role she has been playing all these years. Torn between regaining her husband's affection and the cravings Carmilla has awakened, soon Lenore will uncover a darkness in her household that will place her at terrible risk. I love how gothic that sounds, and this is one of the books that I feel like has been on my radar for some time. Obviously, it being a 2025 release, I think this is the first time I have talked about it, but when it was first announced, it definitely caught my eye, although it also came with the obligatory Carmilla's already sapphic. You don't need to say that your Carmilla story is a sapphic Carmilla take. I don't know. It's just, you know, the little things that just get on your nerves. That's one of those. Releasing on the 28th of February, we have Nocturne by Karina Halle. Seven meets LA Confidential with a vampire twist in this true crime and film noir inspired standalone dark romance. In 1940s Los Angeles, the murder of Lena Reed's closest friend, Elizabeth Short, known as the Black Dahlia, shocks the city and leaves whispers of a serial killer stalking the shadows. Drawn to danger and desperate for answers, Lena crosses paths with Victor Callahan, an ex-boxer turned private detective with a tormented soul and haunted past. Their connection is fiery, obsessive, and all-consuming. But as the investigation deepens, Lena senses a darker threat, something ancient and unnatural, something insatiable. And it wants her. With passion as dangerous as the secrets they uncover, Lena and Callahan are thrust into a twisted game of love, lust, and violence. In a city where monsters wear human faces, they have no choice but to confront the predators stalking them and the ones lurking within. The story of the Black Dahlia, I'm not sure if it uses the definite article, I first came across from watching American Horror Story, and it's such a sad story, and I could be wrong, but I think it's one of those that is unsolved, which obviously lures in people who are a fan of true crime. I don't know what my point was there, but I like the way that this seems to combine several very interesting things for such a unique kind of story. I've read, I think, one book from this author before, and I wasn't blown away, but it was very unique, and it's definitely an author that I want to read from again. So the next entry on our list is actually a trilogy of books, and they are being released on a rapid release schedule. So the first book comes out on the 30th of March, the second on the 20th of April, and the finale on the 10th of May. And this trilogy is called Blood Tethered, and the first book is also called Blood Tethered, and it's by I.S. Belle. Just get your teeth in me already, blood boy, I have places to be. Theo Fairgood is the golden boy, popular, athletic, and determined to uphold his family's good name. Cade Renfield is trouble. Black clothes, fast fists, and a bad attitude. He's waiting for his grand story to start, but until then he's stuck chasing highs, crashing parties, and snarling at anyone who stares. They should only cross paths when Theo trips Cade in the halls, but when Theo gets attacked by a horrifying creature at its own party, Cade is the only one who can drag him to safety. It turns out he shouldn't have bothered. Theo is fine, bloodthirsty, and dead, but otherwise fine. Cade tries to stay away, but vampire venom is addictive, and Theo doesn't have anyone else who knows his thirsty secret. They grudgingly strike a deal. Theo feeds on Cade. Cade gets the best high he's ever had, and no withdrawal sweats. And since they're trapped together, they might as well team up and find out who turned Theo, who murdered an old man the night of the party, and why Theo's touch burns Cade but no one else. As they unravel the mysteries of their strange hometown, the most startling discovery is that Cade is soft under all his spikes, and Theo can be gentle when he isn't around his jock friends. They might actually enjoy each other's company when Theo doesn't have his fangs in Cade's neck. The golden boy and the town freak can't be together. They can't even be friends. But they're the only ones who can protect each other as their enemies' plans are revealed and the boys discover they're linked in ways they could have never imagined. So I'm particularly interested in this trilogy because I read this author's FF vampire trilogy in 2024 and I had the absolute best time. It was fun, it was quirky, it didn't take itself too seriously, and it was also quite referential of wider vampire lore and pop culture. So I'm excited to read more vampires from this author. Okay, so the next book I've got on my list, I am just guessing there's a vampire book because of the comp titles, but it releases on the 1st of April. And it's called The Neverlist by Jade Presley. 50 Shades of Grey meets Serpent and the Wings of Night in a Why Choose romantasy where one woman's quest to save her sister and the realm brings her not one but 4 power-hungry princes of chaos. So I am quite partial to a poly romance. And if this is vampire, all the better. Also releasing on the 1st of April, we've got Where Shadows Meet by Patrice Caldwell. You have no idea what I've done for love, just as you have no idea what you may one day do. Once, long ago, a girl named Favre sacrificed her wings for love. Thana, the young goddess she so willingly gave them up for, sacrificed that same love for power. But everything has a cost. Favre never got over the loss of her wings, and Thana's choice led to a life of eternal night, and later their destruction. Favre has bided her time ever since, waiting for the chance to resurrect the girl she loves, who turned her into the creature she hates. Now, 1,000 years later, Layla, the crown princess of the Malichora, an ancient race that survives on human blood, must travel to the island of the dead when her best friend is captured during an attack on her nation's capital, along with Naya, a fierce, beautiful seer, and the last person she expected to help her. Layla forges down a dangerous path, intent on saving her friend, but nothing is as it seems. The closer she gets to her goal, the more she risks awaking an ancient evil and destroying everything she holds dear. So I can't put my finger on why exactly this one particularly appealed to me, but it really, really did. Releasing on the 10th of June is my most anticipated book of 2025, and I've been anticipating it for several years now, ever since Schwab even just like vaguely mentioned this book at an event. I've been desperately excited to read it. So the book is Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and it is by V. Schwab. Santo Domingo de la Calzada, 1532. London, 1837. Boston, 2019. 3 young women, their bodies planted in the same soil, their stories tangling like roots. One grows high, one grows deep, and one grows wild, and all of them grow teeth. So I mean, I don't think it's a secret that if there's one thing I love as much as vampires, it is V. Schwab's writing. So the fact that the two worlds are colliding and we're getting a vampire book, although I will die on the hill that the Monsters of Verity series is in fact a vampire series. I don't know if it's one of those things that people contest, but it is very much like Monsters of Verity is vampires. But I am just so very excited to read this book. I think it's going to be sweeping, lyrical, gothic. The fact that it's being pitched as toxic lesbian vampires. I love the fact that Schwab wanted to make her villain queer but didn't want the inevitable critiques that people would have about that, so when I'm just going to make everyone queer then. I'm just so excited. Like, it's unreal the level of excitement that I have for this book. Releasing on the 1st of July, we have The Nightblood Prince by Molly X. Chang. 2 princes, 1 prophecy, a fate she cannot outrun. The night the Empress Faye was born, a prophecy was made. She would one day become the Empress of all Empresses. Torn from her family as a child, raised in the palace to one day marry the crown prince of the most powerful empire in the land, Faye has only ever known loneliness. When the opportunity arises to seize her own destiny for the first time in her life, Faye sets out to hunt a legendary tiger, knowing it might cost her everything. What she doesn't expect is to fall under the mercy of Yizu, the beautiful runaway prince from a rival kingdom. Blessed by the night, harbouring a dangerous magic and capable of commanding an army of deadly vampires, Yizu could be the key to Faye gaining more than just her freedom. But to outrun destiny, Faye must spark a wave of events that will change the world as she knows it. Torn between two princes and plagued by nightmares of bloodshed, she finds that the stars might be more inescapable and more irresistible than she ever considered before. Releasing on the 21st of August, we have Blood Moon by Britney S. Lewis. I will get into the blurb, but I just want to put out there that the way this is being pitched is for fans of the Vampire Diaries that know that Bonnie and Damon deserved more and were fully on board for them being a couple, and that alone has this book shooting up my anticipated list. Legend says long ago werewolves had travelled to Mira's small hometown to protect humans from vampires, but that's a fairy tale Mira has stopped believing in years ago. She stopped believing in a lot of things after her mom left when she was 13. Now, starting her freshman year of college, Mira just wants everything to be normal. And everything is, except for Julian, a mysterious boy with golden eyes and a coldness directed at Mira for reasons she can't understand and he won't explain. But when a blood moon rises, Mira finds herself caught in the middle of a long-standing battle with Julian on the other side of the line. She discovers there's more truth in the old town legends than she could have ever anticipated, and her family's historic role in it will change her world forever. The next book we've got comes out on the 11th of September, and it is They Own the Night by Amy McCaw. Stranger Things meets Buffy meets the only murderers in the building. Mia and Johnny have always been there for each other, particularly since their father was revealed to be a serial killer and is now serving a life sentence for murdering 13 people. Studying in a small university town near Edinburgh, Mia's coping mechanisms are hiding behind sarcasm, horror writing, and her somewhat illegal true crime radio station, while Johnny steps up as her warm, sensitive brother and keeps her out of trouble. But when journalist wannabe Johnny accepts an offer he cannot refuse, the chance to interview a reclusive mega rock star who disappeared from public view 3 years ago, Mia finds herself stuck on campus when 2 male students are found dead. As Johnny grapples with the enigmatic musician, he realises that something about the star's nocturnal habits doesn't quite add up. Meanwhile, Mia's investigation takes her to the most unexpected places, including her dad's prison. I've not had the chance yet to read an Amy McCaw book, but this one sounds amazing and the cover is gorgeous. It's very much giving me the vibes of The Lost Boys. Is that what that film's called? The 80s vampire movie. So, I mean, I'm always on board for a vampire book. I mean, not gonna lie there. Coming out on the 23rd of September, we have a middle grade from H.E. Edgmon called Defanged. To save the only life he's ever known, a tween vampire has to destroy it first. Looks pretty is a regular 12-year-old. He goes to school, hangs out with his best friend Emma, and loves to pet every dog he sees. Except for one little thing. Lux is a vampire. And even though vampires came out of the coffin and into the public eye before he was born, not everyone is happy about it. So when a group called Vampirism Sucks develops a cure, most people are thrilled. Lux, not so much. Humans might think his life is miserable, but he's never known anything else, and he doesn't think he even wants to be human. After all, what makes being human better than being a vampire? After an epic escape out the window of the Vampirism Sucks facility, Lux finds himself in a secret underground vampire city, one filled with bad vampires, the kind his parents have always warned him about. But even though he's been taught to fear them, the people of Nox Urbis are the only ones that seem to understand him. And when the so-called cure stops being optional, Lux is forced to make a choice: go back home and submit to the treatment, or stand up and fight a corrupt system for the right to be himself. The last book that we've got a full blurb for, and then we've got 2 further vampire books that we know very little about. So this comes out on the 7th of October, and it's called Vampires at Sea by Lizzie Merbaum. Immortal beloveds, Rebecca and Hugh are on vacation. Against the backdrop of ongoing war, this pair of chic, emotional vampires from San Francisco sets off on a queer Black Sea cruise, eager to relax, join an orgy, and feast upon their fellow passengers' desires and sorrows. When Hugh becomes enchanted by an alluring and possibly magical non-binary social media influencer named Heaven, Rebecca's reality capsizes and her true nature is unleashed. A smutty horror comedy featuring unbridled narcissism. Vampires at Sea is a hilarious snack. This is a book that, as soon as I read that it was queer, I immediately went on NetGalley to request, am I going to get approved? I don't know, but I definitely want to read this book. And realistically, with 15 books on this list, if I can get my hands on all of them, that should be pretty doable for 2025. The last 2 books, as I say, we don't have much details on them. So we've got Rising Ashes by Harvey Oliver Baxter, and this is the sequel to Fallen Thorns that released at the start of 2024. And all we know is that this is coming out in the summer. Also, it's got dual point of views, but that's pretty much it that we know so far. And then the final book that we have no release date for is A Vampire in Beijing by Chen. Let's meet up and catch up. Let's fall in love again. A 50k sapphic vampire epistolary novella described as sapphic interview of the vampire crossed with This Is How You Lose the Time War, featuring a Chinese main character and lots of the Chinese queer creative scene. So those are all of the vampire books that are on my anticipated list. Let me know in the comments which of these most appeals to you. And thank you for watching. Until next time, love you. Bye.